Films are such an escape for some folks, whether it's a thriller, sci-fi, comedy, rom-com, or my personal favorite, horror. With a range of genres of film, there are themes that kind of carry on more meaning and sometimes a reflection of our own. As much as I love to joke around and make y'all laugh or just cringe sometimes, perhaps in that order, films have been an escape and comfort for me for years, and I just watch whenever I can watch, as much as I could watch, and yes, even the bad films too. Come on, you clicked on this channel and what did you expect? Enjoying films is a passion of mine, and diving deeper into them is just something that I really love to do. Sometimes I would go even watch the director's commentary and just want to rewatch it through the director's eyes, or just to see what they were going through while filming a certain scene. I love history and film history too. Once you kind of see films and history shape around the current themes, stories, actors, and well, time period too, you could kind of just start noticing a pattern within watching these movies that their themes carry deeper meaning than what we thought when we originally saw them on the screen. You can start identifying, or at least give an accurate guess around the year the film was made, whom the president was, how the characters talk, dress. Once you get in that mindset, you start to just wonder, are these themes meant for us to discover? Is there more layers beyond this than what the director wants us to see? Maybe your brain is like mine and the little hamster in it just starts going and the wheels spinning and you just start kind of understanding it a little more and more as it just keeps going. In this video, I will discuss 10 films I think everybody should pay attention to. These films made just sort of understanding a little bit more of a direction of where we're headed to. Scary, yes, even frightening as some would say. But let us not forget that these are fictional stories with deeper meaning, and that's all I'm going to leave it at. This ain't that deep, and if you do get offended or angry, take it to another website. This content isn't made for you. Move along. If this is the first time on the channel or a casual returning viewer, welcome and hello. My name is Gribbs, and I love discussing film history, pop culture, and anything else nerdy in that matter. Don't delay if you haven't subscribed yet, so just do so. It's free. It's the best way to support the channel. And with that out of the way, let's get started. Starting off with number 10, 2018's Upgrade. Technophobia is a fear or dislike of new technology, which totally makes sense with the common advancement of groundbreaking studies happening each day. If you played Metal Gear Solid 5: The Phantom Pain, or Call of Duty Advanced Warfare, the one where you have to walk up to the casket and hit X to pay respects, that's the one. Or maybe you're familiar with more of cyberpunk, like the rest of us are. So you're pretty much a little bit familiar with the prosthetic parts using new technology advancements. This being set in the not so long distance future, it's becoming more common for soldiers who have been in the line of battle to use these prosthetics. Technology and dependence go hand in hand each day for some. It's how we get our news, our weather, communicate with the internet. I'm not going to spoil this movie since it's one of those movies I needed to watch for this list, and one of Blumhouse's lesser known movies, in case you weren't paying attention or needed a refresher. Upgrade raises the question most people these days, or Sarah Connor from the Terminator franchise, warned us years ago. How far are we in charge of technology before it runs us? I wished I'd watched this sooner. I was aware of the trailer back in 2018 at the time, but for some reason it just didn't catch my eye. Looking more into the film, it made it just seem like another body horror sci-fi revenge story, and I'm not underselling the film at all. I was taken of how much I really enjoyed this film while watching the whole thing, even though it did underperform at the box office, but it's like some other films, they'll live on through streaming or the wonderful world of the vast growing physical media collector. A solid watch with the ever-growing fear of AI. It definitely just raises some questions about like what I said. This stuff is scary and it's just a rapid pace of technology. Give this a watch for Halloween or a Friday night for some spooky season. It's definitely a good sci-fi body horror movie. Still relevant to today's standards, and I hope it just doesn't get too accurate in the next couple of years for this. Quick mention I also want to give is one of the segments from the movie VHS 2 reminds me a lot of Upgrade. The segment is called Phase 1 Clinical Trials. It's a short segment and honestly one of the best VHS films on there and one of the best segments. Give a full watch. It's not related to Upgrade at all, but I could see how they took some of these elements and kind of went with it with Upgrade. Next up, we have number 9, 1987's The Running Man. Trashy reality TV and how media entertainment is used in other ways besides entertaining you. And basically, we're sort of living in that reality TV shaped world. Let's talk about one of Arnold Schwarzenegger's best films at all and one of Stephen King's best books at all. Yes, that's Stephen King that wrote nightmares like Cujo, It, The Mist, and one of the most recent ones, The Monkey and the Long Walk. Once again, we have Mr. King hating on the government, corporations, and seeing how deep are we willing to go for the sake of entertainment. At a young age, me and my sister would argue between changing the channels from MTV to Nickelodeon. I wanted to watch SpongeBob, she wanted to watch TRL with Carson Daly. Speaking of MTV, I first came aware of reality TV with the little show called The Real World, which first aired in 1992, a couple years before I was even born. The Real World lasted very, very long and still has different seasons and different versions of it today. After appearing in 1992, The Real World would kind of just skyrocket a point of getting shows like Big Brother, Survivor, The Amazing Race, just to name a few. The film shows us of how insane the future of entertainment underlines serious issues going on in the world. Look, you could take this as a parallel to reality trashy TV, Big Brother in all those sense, or as I like to see it nowadays, IRL streaming or just streaming in general, because in a sense we kind of have a camera on us and we have an audience. If you really just watch the film, you could kind of see how it just kind of sets it up in a way you're like, damn, Stephen King was onto something with this way ahead of its time, and pretty much reflection of our own cautions of media power, danger of trading the truth for the sake of entertainment. Stephen King used to love indulging sugar booger, and that's all I'm gonna say with that, but he would crank out a lot of books, and overall, every now and then he would have a really good book that would just kind of reflect on what the hell all this is going on around us. So this is definitely one of those. Arnold Schwarzenegger definitely takes such a good role in this, and he was a good pick. I could obviously see Sylvester Stallone in the role as well too. Casting choice was on point though for the film. This is probably one of your uncle's or dad's favorite movies to watch, with Arnold Schwarzenegger right after Terminator and Predator as well. So this is kind of what tells you what kind of action movie this is, but with some really good deep meaning on it. Speaking of which, Edgar Wright, director of Baby Driver and Shaun of the Dead, directing the 2025 retelling of this way back ago. And maybe not manifesting, maybe he had a contract that he was just waiting to clear out or something. I definitely will be seated day one to go watch The Running Man in theaters, because I really enjoy Edgar Wright's style of editing and directing. I really do wish, though, we ended up getting his version of Ant-Man, though. Watch The Running Man, very scary sci-fi stuff, a little scary accurate with the rise of streaming and all that other stuff. Go give it a watch, and go watch it with your dad or something at that point. Number 8, we have 2008's The Dark Knight. Christopher Nolan, hands down, great director, gets all the praise he deserves, and honestly, one of the best Batman films, or at least sequels, that did it bigger and better than the first time around. Please proceed with caution, as I will be going into spoiler territory for The Dark Knight. Just your one and only warning. Joker robs the bank and gets more of a chaos erupt as Bats tries to find a way to stop it and protect the city he swore he would fight for. And on top of all that, he's trying to maintain his sanity as Bruce Wayne too. At a point in the film, Batman is put up to the task with impossible ethical choices. Save Rachel or save Harvey. Wanting to do both, he was unsuccessful, hence the rise of Harvey Dent's Two-Face. Other choice within that was a freaking device. Lucius Fox basically doxed all of Gotham just with the use of cell phone and I believe just surveillance cameras in general. Civil liberties and safety question this. Once we see the device destroyed at the end, doesn't it make you just think about this kind of stuff could happen in IRL? Sure, the camera and the opening scene with the Joker mask reveal were a nice touch to see. It's just more of an eerie feeling to realize that Joker didn't even care for the money, that he just decided to burn his share of it. He just did it for the love of the game. That is just a level of insanity. Even though throughout the whole movie, Batman isn't just a man, he's a symbol of a sacrifice for the greater good. Harvey's trying to clean up Gotham, in the order that he was brought up to believe through justice. The Joker trying to disrupt it with chaos, and at that line, well, you either die a hero or live long enough to become the villain. How iconic that it happens with Harvey Dent. I know I'm missing a little bit more layers onto this, but I just want to say in general, there's so much that we can unravel with just the Dark Knight trilogy in general. The beauty of all this as well too is there's so many themes that I've missed that you might have caught, or there's just some more deeper tissue into this that you could look into. Just the subtle way Lucius Fox destroys it, or the way he talks to Bruce Wayne about using the gadgets he has for what do you think he's doing for good, to what actually Harvey was trying to do, to what Two-Face was talking about with the damn coin, to Joker even more, the way it looks like for families to go through with, you know, this sort of stuff when it comes to living with, you know, police or any of like enforcement of that sort of stuff. And I don't really like talking about that much. I'm not really comfortable, and I don't like that stuff in general, but seeing it as I'm like, okay, this affects them like that. So in a sense, there's just so much layers that you could add to the Dark Knight as well. And I'm just talking about the second movie, not talking about the first or the third, because as a trilogy, goddamn, that's a lot of layers to unravel, but there's some good stuff in there. Christopher Nolan gets what he deserves for all the praise. I'm so excited for the Odyssey. In general, just give it a watch. It's nothing scary besides, well, just, you know, Joker and the interpretation of that Heath Ledger gives so good overall. And at times it could be scary, not gonna lie. That part where, you know, he holds up that fake Batman dude and takes the video and he's like, look at me, look at me. Like, that part was fucking scary. Overall, go watch The Dark Knight. It has some really good stuff. One of the best sequels ever, and really great trilogy in general. Number 7, 1985's The Stuff. This right here is the stuff of nightmares. And it asks the question, do we really know what we're putting in our bodies? Are we just mindlessly injecting ourselves with poison? It's giving the Grimace Shake incident a couple of years ago, if you remember that trend, but sort of minus the fun and add more of the visual horror. Visually effects and the story were a lightning in a bottle, and as someone that could even argue this is just a modern retelling of the Steve McQueen film, The Blob, mixed in with just more consumerism and add hella camp to it. At first, this film was more aligned with the comedy, which I was actually surprised with, yet it found itself more in a cult movie status as one of the greatest campy 80s horror films live. No pun intended, as I ate this shit up. It's obvious that there was more of a dark comedy rather than horror, which they nailed the direction of having over-the-top ads that are just brainwashing the consumer into just buying the product. It's giving the DoorDash ad, or whatever the fuck that was. Oh, you know, the one with the family. The jingles, the marketing, everything was so over the top and so good for the film. I would have bought the stuff if it was actually on the shelf with all the advertising. Looking back beyond the obvious themes of mindless consumption, questioning what we're eating, with the putting in our bodies, we also look at the corporation greed for companies cutting costs at their products. Companies don't care what products do to people, as long as it sells, which sounds about right for this kind of companies in this media. It reminds me of just the band of Red 40 that's going to take into place in the next couple of years in California schools. This whole film is just a satire of consumerism at its best, and I love that shit because it just makes you really question the market, that the stuff is very similar on how fast food is with unhealthy snacks, the consumers that they want their product to buy. It takes a class for marketing, and it's crazy. I took one in college, and I'm just seeing all the product placement and shows and all, and I just have a giggle. Seeing this product would hit all the targets to folks to buy the products is fucking nuts. The more I watch it, the more it just gives me an eerie feeling. Honestly, like just something like that I can't put my finger on. Give it a watch this Halloween if you can for a laugh or two. I really enjoy watching this, and honestly, I don't think it gets talked about enough. Number 6, 2006's Idiocracy. You know, the last movie we talked about consumerism? Well, this one just takes it and cranks it up to 1,000,000. Mike Judge, the creator of Beavis and Butthead, King of the Hill, Silicon Valley, and my favorite, Office Space. He cooked up another great film with this one. So, in the long, not so distant future, the world dumbs down so much to the point we're living like the people from WALL-E, but with more of a corporation and consumerism, and we're actually able to be on our feet, minus the robots. This film just shows that we are in a cursed timeline. Crocs being the ultimate ugliest shoe ever to exist, and having it be the main form of the shoe of the future. Mike Judge was trying to find an ugly shoe for everybody to wear that wouldn't be Nike or Adidas, that would be cost effective. So at that point, they just ended up with Crocs. A lot of the real world companies didn't want their name to be tarnished in the film, but honestly, it just makes it kind of funny. I know it's product placement in a film, and this is just consumerism as well too, but it just makes sense for the film. My favorite is the greeter at Costco with the low effort voice and the monotone, "Welcome to Costco, I love you." Or the Carl's Jr. feeding machine voiced by Tom freaking Kenny himself. Oh my god, it's just the little bits in the film that just get me, but then again makes me think, we're definitely headed towards this cursed timeline, aren't we? This film shows how society dumbs itself down with just every choice in this film being made. One of those being replacing the world's water resources with a Gatorade-like sort of drink. And you know why? Just because it has electrolytes in it. I've never explained the plot of the film, which is just a regular dude in the army shows up for a sleep study in a cryogenic chamber, basically kind of gets Futurama, and here we go. I really enjoyed the film. Most people would say it's a documentary, and sure, you know, cursed timeline and everything going around us to shit, yay. Once you get towards the end of the movie, you'll see why, and I don't want to spoiler it because I'm not going to do so. It's definitely give a watch toward a movie, even if it's not your sense of humor, or if you know someone with a low sense of humor that might actually enjoy this, yeah, they might. You'll see why it's not realistic at all, but who knows, I could be wrong. If this is your first time hearing about this film, it would make sense since it's had a limited run on the box office, and at that point it was doomed to succeed. Some of the brands, like I said earlier, agreed to be part of the film, but once they saw how frowned upon they were and represented in the film, they just got cold feet. They asked to be removal of the company or didn't want to promote the film at all. The sales on DVD actually helped out and it became cult status, and at that point it just became a way for Mike Judge to just showcase his such good satire in a mirror of ourselves, of America right now, and this being 2006, it's an accurate depiction. Overall, like I said, this movie is really funny as hell. Some of these issues are sort of strike for laughs, others are also strike for warning of a society that no longer uses useful resources, lack of education, science. It's a good watch overall, very sharp prediction of what we're headed to. As the movie being the #1 movie in America is still the funniest thing ever, and I still enjoy laughing at that part. Just something about potty humor gets me each time. Just something, the way they have it kept as the #1 movie for that long gets me too, since it's just ass. The movie. Number 5, we got 1999's Fight Club. I shouldn't have said that. David Fincher has directed some films like Seven, Gone Girl, and for you true crime lovers, Mindhunters on Netflix, which some of you haven't forgiving him for canceling it. This film, along with those other films, are a Cinebro's favorite movie, maybe even on their top love for films on Letterboxd, but they love to talk about it. Or if you're just like me, you discovered how insane this movie was later on in life because you just thought, wow, that was an entertaining movie as like a teenager. Then once you kind of start realizing all the heavy and serious stuff, you're like, holy shit. Even though the film is such a banger of songs like the Pixies at the end of it, it's a hell of a fucking good movie overall. This dark comedy, thriller, suspense film basically just has a bunch of bros getting together at an underground club to just crash out at each other and fight. Without giving too much away, it gets intense as Fight Club. Oh shit, I wasn't supposed to say that. The boys get together and shit escalates very quickly when Edward Norton's character starts meeting Brad Pitt's character and they start fucking shit up together. One sentence to sum up this film would describe it as a male loneliness in film form. Speaking on consumerism, this film questions how people define themselves through brands, jobs, and material possessiveness. We see the disconnect of what men, or what people in general, were feeling lost in the system that didn't give them the purpose or meaning. Man, does this just feel so honest in what people were feeling and still are in the late 90s. At its core, it's a good film, but if you look at what happens when frustration with the system boils over into resistance, it mirrors about real life, installation, corporations, and authority. Hands down, one of the greatest films shot and shown on the silver screen. Realizing the movie spirals out of control, it just locks you right in from the start, and I could see why a lot of film bros chose this on their must-see list of favorites. Examining from not just political view, but also looking at it from a mental health too, I really enjoy David Fincher's films, and always hits the mark with what it is and has to speak and show us firsthand male loneliness, frustration with the system, and consumerism. Really strong with a lot of themes going on nowadays. Crashing out sucks, and this is just one bad day from starting an underground fight club and stick it to the man. I honestly felt like there were parts of it, unfortunately, and honestly, it just makes sense that this film, along with American Psycho, are paired with the same list. I just don't say I warned you in case you get talked to by a film bro and this movie is on their list. Number 4, Videodrome, 1983. At least one of these films that I was going to talk about was going to fall under body horror. No, I'm not talking about The Fly remake with Jeff Goldblum or The Substance starring Demi Moore, who was robbed of her award. Shameless plug-in right here if you want to watch a video about The Substance. David Cronenberg from time to time has made some of the greatest body horror films that carries heavy themes on how much power we give to the media. Really looking into this sharpens the reality and perspective. Hella relevant with what's going on in our own backyards. TikTok and YouTube and that sort of media, in a sense, what we're talking about. Addiction to screens, or at least showing the extreme content being shown to us without realizing how damaging it is for us to be seeing this stuff. Or it just really mirrors how some people can view these things for so long or very short, coming with the short bite-sized content they're feeding into the algorithm. Well, attention span, bro. Not a lot of people have attention span. And that's not even what I'm getting started with. More of a reality of what is an illusion. Yeah, there's these labels for when a form of content is labeled AI, but at what point is it gonna be not labeled AI? At what point can we see the differences in what the media manipulates in our scenes, to deepfakes, to fake news, and all that sort of stuff? This is just getting out of hand. A lot of you have heard of the actor James Woods from a couple Family Guy episodes, but for me, I remember watching his bit on the Simpsons episode. We're not the same, but I'm aware of this, and overall, I think I really enjoyed David Cronenberg's Videodrome more than his other films besides The Fly, because god damn, that's a great one itself on its own. But diving into the themes of what he does is normally psychological, physical, and technological. It challenges the audience to make you just think, holy shit, he's got a point about these themes, and just sort of not maybe be for everybody that could get past the intense body horror. I really enjoy it just because it looks to the point where you begin to question yourself about where and how you consume your media. Hauntingly relevant to the point it really reflects on how constant digital export affects our lifestyle and brains too. Some could even argue that David Cronenberg began the gore fest, which would lead into more gorier films like the new Saw franchise or just any other sort of gore movie like that in Hostel. This isn't just a gore fest, but it just makes you think of what happens when a healthcare system leaves you to die and it just takes matters in your own hand. Watch Videodrome and you just maybe understand how relevant it is nowadays. Media is comfort, yet it is also a curse. Thanks, Mr. Cronenberg, for this classic. I really enjoyed watching this randomly on HBO on an October when my parents were home alone and they left me with the TV for a night. Next up, we have number 3, The Texas Chainsaw Massacre, 1974. Tobe Hooper made this film since he wanted to scare the hell out of the audience and pretty much do something that has never been done before, and to this day still stands as one of the greatest horror films to ever do so. Peeling back the layers of the film, one of which being the anxiety that the 70s brought, such as the aftermath of the Vietnam War, Watergate scandal, and economic struggles. We see the horrors of what society has birthed a monster of itself. I know Tobe Hooper got the idea for the film while shopping in a department store and figuring out how he could get out of there much quicker. And as he was there in the hardware aisle alongside the chainsaws, he approached that humans are the real monsters in society, just wearing a different mask. Right off the bat, we see that we aren't in a nice part of Texas, but more in a rural area full of decay, poverty, and families that were promised the American dream, their spirits and souls crushed with empty promises of what the reality of living in America has become. And this is just the beginning of the 70s. Now just imagine the next couple of years has in store. Humans are monsters. There isn't a supernatural twist in this film. The Sawyer family is twisted and sick in every way. A dying industry left in rural America, unable to really get the help that they needed during that time. It was really rough for them. Overall result was what happens when traditional structures fail, hence the meat industry and the ever-growing concerns with health and safety in those factories. Sure, we can feel for Bubba and the rest of the family. That isn't their fault for any of this, besides believing that it'll get better for them down the line. History tends to go over the heads for some folk, but in reality, it repeats itself one way or another, like it or not, whichever side. Lots of themes in this film really reflect on how things may seem a little bit different, yet here we are, still having some or the same issues today. Was this any of Tobe Hooper's plans while writing and directing this? No. He just wanted to shock the audiences and give it more grit, which I understand why he wanted to in the first place. We watch what is going on in the news, raw violence, and what's coming in the new normalization. Give it a watch as well. I would say the 2003 remake was a good solid retelling, but not sure if it could ever top the original. Not a fan of the prequel that followed up in 2006, or the 2013 3D affected reboot, or the Netflix one in the past couple of years, because I'm okay on that. Number 2, 1988's They Live. If you've ever heard the line, "I've come to chew bubblegum and kick some ass, and I'm all out of bubblegum," this is where that line originated from. Some folks would assume, like myself, that it came from a video game called Duke Nukem, which I thought so for many years. John Carpenter really does have range from The Thing to Halloween to They Live. Some great films after films, each having their own cult following as well, their own follow-ups and sequels along the way. They Live deserves as much love as Halloween gets this fall. It just starts to roll in. Expect this film to sort of just make you question your surroundings. So we have Rowdy Piper as a drifter or hitchhiker who stumbles across a pair of sunglasses that basically shows the reality of our surroundings. Aliens. Yes, everything around us has hidden detail about the world. The money we use for goods and services says, "This is your God." The billboard says, "Consume, obey." And some regular looking folk are aliens in disguise hiding their true form among the people. I guess you could say among us. You could take a little bit of a thing, splash in some Invasion of the Body Snatchers, and we have They Live. Your uncle, your dad, hell, even your older brother might have shown you this movie at some sort, or you've seen various parodies in modern media take covers from this as well. Yeah, some of these really reflect on how we view stuff around our surroundings, what we watch, what we consume, what we eat. Shit is nuts for a 1980s film, but it does hit. The class divide is something we see in our cities, and the film doesn't shy away about who benefits from the system and who struggles underneath it. As the film goes on, you see more and more awareness with the questionable authority, media, and the narrative fed to the public. I enjoyed watching this and adding it to the list because I guess you could say it aged pretty good despite acting of it is not so good, and it's just no disrespect to the late great Roddy Piper, Keith David, for what that matters, but both are really good for what they do, and I'm a huge wrestling fan. This isn't just another sci-fi cult movie with some really bad acting, but more of a sense of opening our eyes to what hasn't shown, and more of a warning about control and manipulation too. So give it a watch. Now I have a couple honorable mentions that I want to talk about that I didn't really have enough time to squeeze into or rewatch at that point. First and foremost, I do want to mention V for Vendetta, and I know I'm lacking on the comic books, so definitely need to watch the movie and read the comic at that point, but I do remember all the nods and references to it, and remember the 5th of November. It's coming up too. It's worth a watch and worth a read. Next honorable mention I have is the Hunger Games franchise. You can either dive in the first movie, but overall this is one of those young adult novels turned into movies. Just think Twilight at that point overall, but for what it is, a Divergent series Maze Runner, Hunger Games doesn't hold back on its far-fetched future dystopia, screwed up timeline where kids are sent to a battle royale, battle to the death of it from each respectable divided district. Oof, that's a lot of stuff with that, but it does get good, both the movie and the books, and there's a whole nother trilogy of movies coming out, so more excitement for that. Last honorable mention I have is from the creators of South Park. It's Team America World Police. It's a really niche comedy. Please give it a watch. The puppets straight up make me laugh each time, and it makes it worth the watch each time. It's a little bit not PC friendly, so it's the guys from South Park. What do you expect? But overall, it's a good watch with some topics that are still relevant today, even though this movie is at least 11 years old. And like I said, puppets are so freaking hilarious. Last and honorable mention I have is Alien and Aliens. Both have some serious themes. You can't miss it, and once you kind of realize what the allegory for Aliens is and Alien, you just kind of left with stunned on that. So give it a watch, and I'm throwing in Alien Romulus as well, because hell yeah, that was a great gap in between both. Okay, number 1, we have District 9 from 2009. Wow, okay, so briefly figuring out this movie without spoiling the whole thing. Alright, so what I have to say is that alongside a horror comedy, this is just a straight up good sci-fi movie in general, with a lot of sad reality and a lot of sad real world allegories for just what it is and just how they are treated in third world countries and maybe our own country as well. So basically we have you start to fall underneath, walk the day through my shortest shoes sort of situation. It's expected through 1,000 times worse is when you see the divide of how aliens are seen as the parasites. So what we tackle in the themes of this is segregation, government control, media, and perception. All these fall in line with the other films in a sort of way, but these are definitely made like hold up so freaking crazy for what it is, unfortunately. So basically there's similar issues of racism, xenophobia, and the immigrant struggle that is for family that have faced into coming into a new country. The government is in this film, as per usual, puts money over people as an ongoing issue to this day. So let me get back to the story. So we follow a reporter doing a story on the slums of the low-income housing, aka District 9. He ends up contracting a disease that pretty much changes him into a half-human, half-alien parasite mutant. And pretty much from there, without going too much into spoiling it, it gets very suspenseful right down to it, and it's a great film to watch. Chappie is another film that I need to watch as well too, since I've heard nothing but praise for it as well, and I enjoy this style of film. Even though this movie is set in South Africa, the struggles are universal and the issues tend to be faced today, unfortunately. Having issues through a time like this is just scary enough. Humans are the real monsters with fake smiles and fake faces. Someday, I just do hope we get a proper sequel to District 9. There's been a lot of talk here and there about getting to do a sequel at some point. But overall, I chose this because fuck everything that is going on. Fuck the kidnappings and all this shit that's been going on in broad daylight. As a Mexican American citizen here, I'm ashamed of this fucking country, and this film takes the spot on my list. So, what do you guys think? Films are pretty much a getaway for us to escape, bringing comfort or whatever you may want to bring up personally. Could be just something to control your ADHD or any way you want to be able to enjoy it. I just speak for myself. It's just a form of art that can be enjoyed anytime, on the go, or how you choose to consume it. Some of these films, like I said, do reflect on what society is or has become, giving us a warning or remind of the struggles that we overcome to get where we are now. Films are there for us in any form we choose. It soothes our mind in a sense of fear that drives the dopamine to the brain. Or for my fellow queer fan base, they know that this is a safe space for them and that queer people have built this space for them, and without them there wouldn't be a space for it. Who you are, and it doesn't matter on what your language or what you're into. Shit is terrifying in the real world, but there's always hope for a better future if we learn from our mistakes and tend not to repeat history. If you guys enjoyed the video, make sure to hit the like and comment button. Thanks for so much for sticking around. I really appreciate it very much. Till then, I'll see y'all in the next one. Click on another video and let me know if you've seen any of these films, or let me know what your top 10 films from this list could be in any order that you choose. Let me know, or at least your top 3 if you had to choose. Thanks everybody. Follow me on the socials. I'll catch you in the next one. Till then, this is your boy Gribbs138 signing out. Till then, bye.